Hello students, I am Prachi Rastogi, Assistant Professor, Teerthanker, Mahaveer University, and today I am going to deliver my lecture on the topic Industrial Relations. Before I start talking about my today's topic, I want to tell you something about HR field. Well, in the present scenario, HR is one of the most demanding field, and HR in itself has number of specialization. If I talk about in a broader way, there are two fields, core and compliance. When we used to talk about core, it simply covers training and development, recruitment, and lot of administrative things. But when we talk about compliances, this basically covers all the legal things related to the industries, especially manufacturing. Today we are going to talk about industrial relations and labor laws. This is an specialization paper which we have in MBA third semester, and basically we used to deal with number of labor laws in this paper. So before I start talking about specialization, I want to share with you the syllabus. In this syllabus we have 5 units. First 2 units, Unit 1 and Unit 2, is about industrial relations and trade union movement in Indian manufacturing industries. Whereas in 3rd, 4th and 5th unit, we used to deal with number of industrial laws that are existing in the present manufacturing industries. One of the very important is Factory Act, then we have Industrial Dispute Act, Minimum Wages, and number of other acts like this, which Indian government has established to safeguard the interest of our employees. Let's begin with the meaning of industrial relation. Well, as you can feel that industrial relation word in itself is explaining that relationship that are existing in Indian companies, relationship among employees, relationship between employer and employee, and relationship between employer and government. Now, next thing that I want to tell you is, let's talk about meaning basically. Well, industrial relation describes the relationship between management and labor. This can encompass not only relationship between management and workers, but also between management and unions. Yes, management and trade unions, you can say, and even between government and unions. Now, one of the very important thing is industrial relations work includes dispute settlements. This is the main thing for which we are guiding our students to learn how to develop industrial relations, right? For avoiding disputes, you have to be very cautious about when you deal with the employees. Apart from this, grievance handling procedures will deal with the proper communication and proper team building activities in the organization. Well, I want to share with you a very common and very famous line given by Dale Euler here. IR is a designation of a whole field of relationship that exists because of the necessary collaboration of men and women in the employment process of industry. Yes, all types of relationships that are existing in the industries, it is the responsibility of an HR to deal with them very carefully, and especially you have to analyze the attitude, the personality, the perceptions of the people to whom you are hiring, so that in future you can deal with them easily. Okay, the next thing is features of industrial relations. Say for example, if I want to tell you that maintaining cordial relations, providing conducive environment to your employees is one of the major demand of the present scenario. If you will not provide them facilities, if there are miscommunication, if there is no cordial environment, then definitely either there is an absenteeism or they will leave your organization. So, to avoid these sort of things, to avoid strikes, to avoid grievances, you have to be very careful about providing them facilities and handling them carefully like a family. Okay, let's talk about features of industrial relations. Well, very first thing is that it cannot emerge in vacuum. It simply refers that you should have number of people with whom you have to contact or who contact among themselves. If there is no people or you have a very small organization, then you cannot say that you have industrial relations. For this, you need to have a large number of employees in your organization. Next thing is that study of attitude and perception is one of the most important thing for understanding of industrial relations. So, if you are an HR of an organization, the first thing that you have to notice is understanding of attitude and perceptions of people so that you can guide them accordingly. Next thing is you have to deal with number of vital environment issues. Yes, lot of personal problems people have, lot of environmental problems people have. In this situation, understanding their condition and treating them in that way is very important for an HR. Now, let's talk about what are the main components. As I told you earlier, there are three main components of industrial relations, and they are employees, employer, and government. Yes, government also plays a very important role in industrial relations. You might have heard that changing of this political condition affects the whole industry. Yes, sometimes it happens that one government suggested something and after 5 years or whenever the government changed, the whole rules and regulations change with that. This affects the working of an organization. So, this also comes under the maintaining industrial relations with the government. Next thing that we will discuss in what can be the main aspects of industrial relations. That would be promotion and development of healthy labor management relations. Yes, and apart from this, providing democracy to your employees is also very important. See, people cannot work in such a situation where they are not even allowed to speak, where they are not even allowed to give any kind of suggestions, right? So, we have to provide them liberty, we have to give them democracy to at least they can suggest something. If we are not even accepting, at least, you might have heard a word called workers' participation in management. This is very demanding to maintain the industrial relations. Once you are giving them liberty to providing suggestions, they would definitely feel like family member. The next thing is, what are the basic requirements if you want to maintain industrial relations in your organizations? The very first one is top management support. Any HR cannot work easily if management is not with him. Definitely you should have management support with you, only then you can be with your employees. Another one is sound personnel policies. I want to tell you something about it. Sound personnel policies is something which makes you a brand in the market. If you don't have particular policies, if you don't have decided guidelines for your employees, your market position cannot be a good one, because somewhere or the other people feel discomfort out of this, and due to which they will feel, they will left over your organization. So, you should have sound personnel policies which will help you out in your whole working conditions. Next thing is detailed supervisory training. Again, a very important thing for maintaining industrial relations in your organization, that the people in your who are the seniors in your organization, whether they are managers or they are supervisors, they should be very well trained while they have to give training to the employees. So, if they themselves are not trained, or if they themselves are not confident about providing trainings, they would not be able to help out people over there. So, you have to provide well trained trainers to your employees. Okay, let's talk about one of the very important thing, objectives of maintaining industrial relations. First one is to establish and foster sound relationship between workers and management by safeguarding their interest. We maintain this whole process of industrial relations in our organization just because we want people not to leave our organization, they feel comfortable and they work with full heart, right? If people are not comfortable or they are not, devoted towards their work, they will either leave or they will, not work with the full heart, with full heart. So for this very condition, being an HR, you have to consider that people should be, people should be comfortable in the organization and their interest would be completely safeguarded. Next thing is avoiding strikes, strife, and avoiding any sort of grievances that develops being out of not considering people important. Yes, when you don't give importance to your employees, they will feel discomfort. They feel that we are working with full heart, still the management is not considering us well. In this sort of situation, being an HR, you have to develop this sort of policies, these kind of environment, so that people avoid conflicts, people avoid any kind of discomfort. Next thing is to keep as far as possible strikes away. Yes, this is the main thing. If I talk about big manufacturing industries where near about 25,000 to 35,000 people work in a single unit, where there is a lot of manufacturing happens 24 hours. In this sort of situation, people have to, you have to keep away the strikes and lockouts and all kind of grievances, because if this thing happen, definitely there is no profit, there is a lot of wastage, and it consumes a lot of time. So for avoiding all these things, maintaining a cordial environment, is the responsibility of HR. Another thing, which is again a very, very important thing, is providing opportunities to the people. Yes, promotion is one of the very important rule of any organization which they should follow. If the people are working well, if they are working in a very positive way, then definitely you should provide them promotions, you should provide them trainings, or you should provide them any sort of opportunity of growth. Well, raising productivity is one of the, again, very important thing of industrial relations. We actually used to do all these things for maintaining or for improving the quality of product as well as the productivity of our employees. So raising productivity is also a very important thing. Another thing is avoiding the interference of government. Yes, sometimes there are a lot of government interference due to Factory Act actually in your organization. So if you maintain good industrial relations with the government, they would not, that would not affect your work. Another thing is establishing and nurturing industrial democracy. Yes, this will help you out in not only the branding of your organization, but also to, your employees feel comfortable. Nurturing industry with democracy is one of the most important thing of industrial relations. Now let's talk about functions of industrial relations, or basically you can say why there is a need to have this sort of environment in your organization where people feel comfortable and cordial. Well, communication is to be established between workers and the management in order to bridge the traditional gulf between the two. We all know that it's a traditional gulf that are existing. People don't feel comfortable and management don't consider their people so important. So to avoid this gulf, there is a need to develop this sort of environment where people are the part of organization and not just an employees. Second one is to establish a rapport between managers and the people who are managing. Yes, your seniors should be supportive and a junior should be respectful towards their seniors, and this will help you out in managing industrial relations. Next thing is creativity contribution. Yes, providing opportunities to your employees so that they can give their best input to the company. Allow them to come up with new ideas so that you can develop as well as he or she will develop. Next thing is to lay down considerations which may promote understanding, creativity and cooperation to raise industrial productivity to ensure better worker participations. Yes, as I told you earlier, we need to maintain workers' participations in management for cordial and conducive environment. Now let's talk about the importance of industrial relations in the present economic conditions. Well, as we all know that this is the time of COVID, lot of industries are suffering very badly. Lot of people have left, lot of retrenchment is there in the different industries, but still those industries where there are good relations, where people are supportive, where management is supportive towards their employees, there is still a hope, there is still good conditions and people are feeling comfortable. Let's talk about what are the things which are important in this scenario for industrial relations. First is uninterrupted production. You might have heard about it that industries whose production is stopped during the COVID, they started the production of mask, they started the production of PPE kit and lot of other things which we used during the COVID-19. So this is the right criteria to handle your employees. When you cannot provide them things which you are doing in your organization, let's give them another opportunity so that they can also earn. So the first thing is uninterrupted production. Second is reduction in industrial disputes. Definitely if an HR, definitely an HR plays a very important role in handling the whole organization or maintaining good relations among the organizations. Third one is high morale. Definitely it's very important that people feel productive and motivated all the time, and if you are a good HR, definitely your people will be highly motivated because you guide them well, you train them well, and definitely you give them guidance to how to manage even in tough times. Next thing is mental revolution, from low to high, from manager to junior to any staff. People should be highly motivated, people should feel comfortable, and there is a job security in your organization. Only then your people feel motivated and there is high mental revolution in them for for production, for their doing their work in a fine way. Another thing is providing new programs or launching new types of things in your organization. Then we have reduced wastage, one of the very important thing of industrial relations. Yes, reduced wastage. If people are comfortable with each other, if they are working in a very good way, if they are polite, if they are positive, definitely there is no any kind of wastage in your organization. Now let's talk about another thing, that is trade union. Yes, trade union also plays a very important role in maintaining cordial industrial relations. Let's talk about the meaning of the trade union. Well, trade union is an association of workers formed with the object of improving the conditions of workers. It is formed for protecting the interest of workers. Workers have little bargaining capacity when they are unorganized. In fact, trade union movement began against the exploitation of workers by certain management under the capitalist system. Yes, two main things are here. One is to safeguard the interest of the employees, and second is when there is a union, people can better bargain, right? You might have heard about collective bargaining. Collective bargaining is the most important tool for trade unions. I have a definition with me from Leicester, that is, a trade union is an association of employees designed primarily to maintain or improve the conditions of employment of its members. Yes, this refers that we designed trade unions so that people who are with us, our employees, our supporters, and you can say the members of trade union feel comfortable. They can put forward their they can put forward their demands to the management, and they can bargain on that. If I talk about objectives of trade union, the first one is to improve the economic conditions of workers by securing better wages for them. Generally, people used to fight or people used to bargain on working conditions and wages or salaries, whatever they are getting. Second is to secure for workers better working conditions. Next is to secure bonus for the workers from the profits of the enterprise or the organization. Then we have to ensure stable employment or job security for the people who are the members of trade unions. Finally, we have providing legal assistance to the people for awareing them about their interests, about their benefits, and about their legal rights. Another thing is functions of trade union. Well, trade union, there is a proper act of trade union which was, there is a proper act for the trade union, and this act was basically designed to help people, so that employers cannot exploit them. If I talk about functions of trade union, the major ones are collective bargaining. As I told you earlier, I want to repeat it again, that collective bargaining is a process where the representative of the whole employee association, or you can say the trade union, discuss with the management all the demands or all kinds of whatever whatever the employees expect from the management. There is a general discussion, and there are 3 to 4 rounds where people discuss about different things, different demands, or about different working conditions that they want from the management. This process is known as collective bargaining, and ultimately there is a result come out of that. So, collective bargaining with the management for securing better working conditions for the workers. Second is increasing cooperation. Yes, where there is a situation of that people are ready to work for the organization anyhow, and management is ready to help their employees anyhow. We should have this sort of conditions in the organization, only then there is a good industrial environment. So, increasing cooperation and well-being among workers. Next is securing facilities, as I told you earlier. Then we have establishing contacts between the workers and the employers. Trade unions working for the progress of employees. Yes, this is one of the main agendas why we form trade unions in the organizations, so that people, there should be job security. At the same time, there is opportunity for growth. If there is an organization where there is no opportunity for the growth, people don't want to work for them, and trade union help the employees so that they can stand against the management. They can tell them that these are the things which we want for our growth, right? Next is, as I told you earlier, provision of labor welfare. This is the trade union only which will guide you for all the legal aspects, all the legal laws which are meant in India for the employees. They will help you out to understand that yes, to understand that these are the legal rules, these are the legal procedures which the Indian government forms for safeguarding our interests. Trade unions help the employees in this thing. There are some problems also that especially Indian trade unions are facing in the present scenario. So, I want to talk about that also. First one is in small size. Sometimes if we form unions in a very small, where there is very small employees, in such situations these trade unions are not powerful. So, we need to have lot of people if we want to form trade unions. Second is lack of balanced growth. Sometimes people form trade unions, but there is no proper guidance for them. There is no there is nobody who can guide them for actual hierarchy in trade union or for actual structure of trade union. So because of this, there is no balanced growth. Then poor financial positions. If all the people are not financially strong, if your trade union leader is not financially strong, then it's a tough task to manage the situations. Then we have political control. Well, sometimes management has its political relations, or they have some good relations with any leader. So in this sort of situation, the leader of the trade union cannot help their supporters or cannot help the employees. Then multiplicity of unions. Yes, this is again a very big problem that the Indian manufacturing units are facing right now, and that is lot of unions, lot of small unions, right? This wouldn't possible in an organization that you have number of leaders, so this will create problem. Then we have inter-union rivalry. If there are 2 leaders or if there are 3 leaders, definitely there is a rivalry among them, and they would not create that sort of environment which can be created by one leader. Finally, lack of able leader is also a problem, and lack of recognition is also a big problem in the present trade union conditions. Another thing that I want to share here about compliances. Yes, as I told you in the starting that there are a lot of rules and regulations which the Indian government decided for safeguarding the interest of employees. Lack of recognition is also a big problem that the Indian trade unions are facing. So this is enough for today, and in the next lecture we will discuss about Factories Act in India. Thank you.
Teerthanker Mahaveer Institute of Management and Technology. This institute has laid emphasis on industry interface and hands-on training to prepare students for their professional life. We take a case study based approach to teaching. We encourage them to debate, discuss and make presentations in smart classrooms.
In teaching, we basically focused on the case studies, and the case studies are from the Indian background. Most of the B schools are teaching case studies from the international level.